Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I hope you are in good health. Keep your condition. And we from group C 1A will present the result of the alternative assessment. And my name is Nurfaedah, my study number 18, and my partner Isna Barokatun Hidayah, study number 6, and Andini Hidayati, study number 12. Here I will begin to explain about the concept of alternative assessment. Alternative assessment, also referred to as performance tests or authentic assessment, are used to determine what students can and cannot do, in contrast to what they do or do not know. In other words, an alternative assessment measures athlete proficiency more than it measures knowledge. Typical example of alternative assessment include portfolios, project work, and other activities requiring some type of rubric. Alternative assessment refers to situations in which students are evaluated on what they integrate and produce rather than on what they are able to recall and reproduce. Students are asked to perform, produce, or something, use tasks that represent meaningful interactional activities, invoke real-world application, and focus on process as well as products of learning. The limitation of traditional assessment, which have led to a growing dissatisfaction with traditional assessment method, and which has made teachers, educators, and researchers start thinking about more effective and friendly means of assessment, nominally alternative assessment. It was hoped that such a shift toward alternative assessment would result in improvement in assessment, which in turn could result in improvement in learning. Traditional assessment usually measures student ability to recognize or recall results are often not true indicator of student performance, ability, or progress. Most of traditional techniques, such as multiple choice items and yes or no item, cannot represent real-life language. Traditional assessment is restricted to the end of a course or semester basis. Traditional assessment gives rise to stress and anxiety in students, which can affect their performance and achievement negatively. Reason for using alternative assessment method in a full classroom. The first, alternative assessment method replicate real-world communication context and situation outside the classroom. They measure student ability to use English holistically in real-life situations. Over a comprehensive and accurate picture of students' overall competence in English that is carried out continuously over a period of time rather than restricted to the end of a course or a year. Alternative assessment is student contract. This helps students to be more involved in their learning and gives them a sense of control for their own learning. Alternative assessment offers a wide range of assessment possibilities to address students' different learning styles. For example, some students might choose to demonstrate their understanding by writing about something while others might prefer to perform or to display visually or mind mapping. Assessment provides information on the strength and weakness of each individual student. This can direct teacher and student to the areas that need improvement.
Isna, I will continue my partner presentation. I will explain about the advantage of alternative assessment. The first is provide a more realistic setting for students performance than traditional tests. So alternative assessment has give a realistic assessment for the students. And the second is focus on student performance and the quality of work performed by students. It means that teacher can give an individual evaluation by the students, not the general evaluation. And the third is can be easily aligned with established learning outcomes. The fourth, it has flexible design. Alternative assessment has flexible design based on the creativity of the teacher. The next is disadvantage of alternative assessment. The first is difficult to create. Some of teacher has a problem with their ability of create a platform to the assessment. The second and the third is more time for students to complete and more time for teachers to evaluate, because alternative assessment generally has a more long time to be followed and to be evaluated. And then the principles of effective alternative assessment. The first is alternative assessment should aim to improving learning. It means teachers should provide students with opportunities to practice tasks and activities of various areas of performance. The second three principles are related to the assessment tasks and activities instructions given. It means alternative assessment should be based on authentic and real-world tasks and activities in terms of getting students to deal with meaningful situations similar to those of the real life. The third, alternative assessment should be a continuous process. This requires teachers to assess students and monitor their progress and learning over time rather than at the end of course or semesters. And the last, student-centered teaching approach and methods. Considering students' individual differences in terms of familiarity, level, interest, and motivation. It also involves having all students equal access to resources. It will be continue my partner Andini.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, my name is Andini Hidayati. My student number is 14. Hereby, I attach some common forms regarding to be used in alternative assessment. The first is performance assessment, the second is peer assessment, and the last one is self-assessment. First, performance assessment. Performance assessment is an assessment in which the teacher observes and makes a judgment about a student's ability to create, product, or perform a task. Performance-based tasks are tasks that require students to employ the knowledge and skill they have acquired by creating a product or delivering a performance. Example, assessing a student's ability to introduce him or herself in English to the class by stating name, age, family, where one lives, subjects, hobbies, and clothing. Then the teacher chooses the task providing oral self-introduction to get students show the target skill. Performance assessment table. The first here is the example of performance assessment table. To make you more understand, let's imagine there are a teacher asks each student to complete 10 reading passages of various genre, giving them some guidelines for selection.
For each passage, the teacher tells students to use a self-assessment checklist to refer the reading strategies that they use to comprehend and understand passage and reading log. The second, peer assessment. Peer assessment is an arrangement for students to evaluate each other's work using preset guidelines. The basic idea behind peer assessment is to provide opportunities for students to evaluate others and their work more critically. In the implementation phase, the teacher first demonstrates how to conduct the peer assessment method to strengthen student confidence and lower their anxiety. Here is the example of peer assessment table. While a group of students giving their presentation, both the teacher and the rest of the class assess the performance of the individual member of the group by completing the peer assessment form in the light of the rubric. The third, self-assessment. Self-assessment is a process in which students actively evaluate themselves, which may help them to develop self-awareness and better understanding of learning outcomes. It doesn't mean that students assess themselves in the form of grades. The process of creating and implementing self-assessment in the classroom. Here is self-performance assessment table. In case the teacher provides students with a piece of writing containing the aspect taught, demonstrating how to assess it in the light of the self-assessment checklist. This is commonly used in questionnaire for measuring student improvement in thesis. The last is conclusion. Alternative assessment is appropriate for students at any proficiency level, and that alternative assessment is not restricted to one particular language skill. Further, teacher can maximize objectivity, accuracy, and consistency of this type of assessment through more practice, training, setting clear assessment criteria, providing feedback for students on their work, and considering student level. Once and if a teacher becomes willing to use alternative assessment in his or her classroom, teachers should be cautious about using its methods for grading purposes, especially self-assessment, peer assessment, and portfolios, as this might not accurately reflect student ability or knowledge in English and might fix students' attention on getting good marks only. Okay, we come to an end. I think it's enough for our presentation. I hope you can get something new. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.